Well, welcome to Paulette's Paper Play, and we are going to do vintage walls. This is a collection from Uniquely Creative out of Australia, and here is one of the projects that I made, and I'll be happy to share that with you, tell you why I did what I did, and what may not have worked. Okay, will you please come play with us? Well, let me begin with what is in the collection. So these are 6x6. They are single-sided. It says papers, but they're really a cardstock, and they are printed on one side, as I said. And they're the ones that I did not use. I will show you at the end of the webisode, okay? These are called creative cuts. They're die cuts. There are 60 pieces in here. Very, very useful. And then these are the vellum creative cuts, so vellum die cuts. There are 40 or a little bit more than 40 pieces in this, and I'll show you. And there's some different ones in here too that I had never seen before. So we're going to go into the first of 4 projects, and we're getting closer just so you can see. Now let me put this on a white backing because this has black suede being used, okay? So I've taken our 5 by 6.5 inch card and placed it so the fold is at the top. And I did cover it with the black suede, and I use the black suede especially in the next project, but it just does such a beautiful job. It is a deeper black than black cardstock, and you can really see this more in person than you can on camera. But I love this dot, and you can see this, and so I simply attached it so that it was 6 inches here and then 5 inches there, so I had this little strip left. That strip I will also use, so that worked nicely. And I did have a customer ask me recently if there are papers for sympathy cards. And my feeling really is that almost any papers will work for a sympathy card. And so this one is one that I used. So these 2 pieces are part of the vellum die cuts. Isn't that interesting? These are, they are about little over 5 inches long. And so I did take one of them and I trimmed off the bottom scallop. See, that's the scallop that I trimmed off. Saved it just to show you. So then I could put the piece that I trimmed right here. It's about 3/4 of an inch from the edge of the card. And then this is the full length, but I did overlap it so that you see a continuous scallop going on. So just making that L. I like the play of the light background, that kind of craft color with the black. I thought that worked really nicely. So that's what I did. And then I went into the die cuts, those 60 creative cut die cuts. This piece is just a large floral, as you can see. I think this is the largest one in the set. You get 2 of each, and you can kind of see here on the back how they kind of give you a jumble of all of them. And then I glued down the dragonfly, and I let the dragonfly kind of get very close to this so that it all read as kind of one piece. Now, going into my sentiment, of course, the easiest way for me to do sentiments is to do dazzles. And this is our Sympathy set. You get 5 pieces, that's right. So you're gonna get black, white, gold, silver, and brown. Your In My Thoughts is what I used in black, and I'm obviously using black on this piece. So this is in one length. You could cut it up if you wanted to, if you needed to stack those words, but it just works well for me, just going right along and in between the flowers that are foam taped and this piece that is just right on the edge. By the way, I need to tell you, with these vellum pieces, in fact, let me pull one out so that I can show you. They have a acetate on the back. So when you pull them apart, I just use my fingernail. If you don't have fingernails, if you clip yours tight, shorter than I do, you can just use a pokey tool or the pen knife just to slip right into one little area, and then you can just pull off that acetate, and then that gets thrown away. Now you can kind of see that with this light color, that would not have worked very well against the dot, and I wouldn't want I wouldn't especially want the dots to show, so that's why I went with the die cuts, okay? So just getting that going. So these two pieces are the vellum. Okay, so we've got You're in My Thoughts. Now, as I said, I had that little piece left when I cut it from this, so I wanted to use it. So I simply matted it on another piece of the black suede and let that piece extend the whole 6.5 inches. And matted it. This is about 1/4 of an inch all the way around. This I thought was just perfect for the sympathy card. It's take time, remember all the good memories. I thought that was really special. I like the fact that placing it like this with the triangle, it's going to extend off the edges of my matted piece, and the colors, of course, just work really well. So Sorry for Your Loss is another of the dazzles, and it just worked really well there. And I liked it going just beneath that matted piece. Now, I have shared this before, and I'll share it again. I do use my penknife so that when you lift up the dazzle, in fact, let me pull one here for you. I didn't plan to do this, but I will. Let's see. Okay, so I'll pull out the gold sheet. So You're in My Thoughts is what I did the first. So I've got this, and when you pull it off, it's going to just be like that. You kind of let it rest. And what I do is I take my penknife and I just place my dazzle on the penknife. Okay. That way I can handle it as one piece, and it just is a nice way for me to get it straight, to figure out where I'm going to place it, like so. And then I just push this down, pull my penknife off, and let it just fall in place. So that's how I handle it. It's very useful with any of the dazzles, but especially with the words. It just is a great tool. Okay, so that is my first project. Now I have some suede left, so I'm going to be using it in the second project too. Very simple, very clean lines, nothing shiny. That's another thing that the suede does, but there is that tactile going on with the suede on the edges and the shininess of the dazzle. So that worked well for me. I hope it works well for you. Now let me pull my next card. And because I did a horizontal card to begin with, I wanted to do a vertical. And this is where I got into the white vellum, and you can see them layered there. But let me go back to starting the whole card, okay? So I first covered it, and I needed a solid. And I needed a solid that would cover my 5 by 6.5 inch card. So I went into the Botanical Library solid cardstock, and you can see all of these colors. And I elected to take this brighter pink. And I wanted that one because I really wanted to have it mirroring the bright pink that is in the paper. And this is the paper that I chose. This one, isn't that just lovely? So I did cover the whole card, and I have said this before, and I'll probably say it again, but covering is the verb that I use to mean that take your card, place your adhesive on the edges. I like to put a big X in the middle, but that's just me. And then take your cardstock and place it along the fold and then one edge, press it down, turn the card over, and trim it to fit. That is what I mean when I say cover the card. That way you're not measuring a piece and cutting it and then trying to fit it perfectly, because this process will work every single time. Okay, so step one. Step two is having our paper. Now, this is 6 inches by 6 inches, so I'm going to have a little bit left. You know, I'm probably going to use that, so don't throw it away, but not like you're going to throw anything away, right? So take this piece and then glue it down. And then I just wanted to play off of the white. Now, I could have left a white edge, absolutely could have, it would have been fine, but I wanted to have a decorative border. So I went in, oh, and also, let me just share one other thing that I haven't done in a while. Okay, I'm gonna get this white piece back out here. Now, in figuring out how I'm going to use this, I went back to my piece of acetate that has my card shape drawn on it, just with a felt tip pen. Now, I wanted to do a vertical, as I said, because I had done a horizontal in the first card, but I could have easily done a horizontal card like that, or I could have turned this around. And it doesn't look terribly different each way, but it is somewhat different. So I could have gone this way. Nothing is wrong. They're all perfectly correct to do, but you've got choices. And so that's always nice to know what your choices are. So I did trim that down, and the measurements down below are down below. Just click on the card and you'll see the measurements and the directions. So that's all taken care of for you. Okay, so I have this. And then I wanted to play with these white vellum. And I do want to tell you, I struggled a little bit. As a matter of fact, well, why did I struggle? I struggled because when I'm looking at it, now when you've got it on a dark color, you can really see what's happening with it. But when it's like that, it's really hard to tell what's going on. So I actually contacted the company, sent them an email, and I said, so what are you doing with this? And they said that their designers pretty much just journaled with them with a pen. And okay, that's fine, but I didn't want to do that. So I elected to stack them. So I took one, in fact it was this one, and pulled the backing off of it and placed it down. You can see it's just like that. And then I took a second one, and it wasn't this one, but it was similar, and placed it on top. And with a dark background, just like you can see it here on the with these on the black table, you can see more of the detail. And I thought that was just really pretty, very, very delicate. And I thought that was really nice. Okay. So I've got some white in my flowers. I've got some white in these vellum pieces. Then I wanted to echo that white. So I went into, these are the stitch border dazzles. And this package has 4, black, white, gold, and silver. See my little crib notes? And I used that. And these look like stitching. So you can see the loopy stitch there, and then the pretty decorative straight stitch top and bottom. And I did let it go to the edge of the card on the sides, and then within that border at the top and the bottom. So it just worked nicely. Now, I wanted to add some words. So what am I going to do? Yes, of course, I'm going to use dazzles. These happen to be tiny words and phrases, and there are, I wish I could remember how many pieces are on here. I don't think it doesn't tell us. I think there's something like 40, something like that. I mean, there's a ton. So just because is what I chose. There's also little hearts, there's some little flourishes. I think there's even a little flower somewhere. Oh, a star, okay. So I chose to put that right under it. So it just is, it's darker than the black here, but it supports that. So I was happy with my lacy, lovely look. Then ribbons, okay. And I played a lot with this, but the narrow sheer ribbon out of the white set worked really well. When I went to a wider ribbon, it just covered up so much of the space, and I wanted that dimension there with the ribbon, but I didn't want it overwhelming my card. So, and I was very proud of myself, I tell you, about layering those, because nobody else had done that, so that's really fun. Now, to go inside my card, okay. I knew after playing with it first that showing them on black really did them the best. So I cut my piece of suede, because I had some left from the first card, and glued it in place. I added the piece that I had cut off. So I put that, and I put it just inside, about a 1/4 of an inch from the edge. And then I placed 2 of the same stitched border dazzles on each side. And then I placed 3 different ones, because there are several different shapes in the vellum creative kits. So I placed them there, spaced them as much as I could. I did let them overlap a little bit onto this. I just visually, I didn't want to have 2 things, two rows, I wanted them to intersect. So that's what I did. And Thinking of You, You're the Best Friend. All of those are from the same Dazzle package. And then took the same ribbon and knotted it and zotted it between them. So that worked out nicely. And you can see how beautifully they show up against a dark background. So that worked nicely for me. Okay, 1, 2 cards. Now I have an album to show you. Okay, this is an album, and I think it's just really kind of special. It measures, well, let's see. This is what it looks like in the package, which, let me take it out of the package. So here you go. It has these suede pieces that are attached. In fact, let me show you. I've looped it just to close it. You can close it as you like. It has this suede loop attached to it, and then it has these 2 long pieces, and I appreciate that they're nice and long. Then you have all of these sheets. In fact, there are 16. And let me just fan this out. They're all accordion folded. They're all craft paper. So you've got 16 on the front. If you wanted to, you've got 16 on the back. So just lots of room for you to do things. Now, each of these sheets measures 4 1/8 by 6 3/4. So there you've got that. And the outside of the album is a little bit more than that, okay? So to close this, all you do, okay, is take the ends of the suede strips, insert them into that loop. Again, that loop is attached to the album. And then you can just leave it like that, or I just loop this through and just bring them through and let them hang down over on the left side. And that worked easily for me. And then you can tighten it as you like, but that holds it together. Now, I also, when I was thinking about what I wanted to do, the album is like this, and can you see that there is a shadow around it? Well, I did that with velvet fawn, and of course the blender brush just went along the edges. Now, to do that, I had to lay this on my craft mat, of course. So when I laid it, it was like this. So I did take some Post-it notes and place them on, in fact, I did take 3 of them, so pretend there's 1 more. That way I'm not going to get ink on the back of it because I wanted to keep it tidy. So simply just tapped into here and just rubbed it and just got my edge. I just thought that added a bit to it, and then I could remove these pretty quickly, actually. And that took care of it. Now, I knew that I just thought this little pieces of me was brilliant, just a brilliant of the die cuts. And I thought it was a perfect statement for maybe a journal or a junk book or a mini album, anything that you wanted to do. And I thought it was really fun to have it about yourself. So I'm just pulling that out. Okay, so after I did the edges, I wanted to lay this here because that's going to be there when I close it. So I picked these 3 pieces of the die cuts, little pieces of me, another dragonfly, so I have used up both of the dragonflies, and then this larger piece, just to fill that space. Now, I didn't want anything 3-dimensional on it because this is the front of a book and I knew I'd be handling it, so I just kept everything flat and I kept everything simple. There is a rule of 3s, and I probably have mentioned this before, but when you have a surface and you're putting things on it, generally you want to have an odd number of things. Obviously, I've got 3 right here. If I only had 2, it would be okay, but I think that adds another nice element. So that rule of 3. So when you're looking at something, if something doesn't look right, count and see if you've got an odd number. Then I went to open it, and I'm staying in the cutouts, so just to really explore those. And there are several frames, and the frames also have things on the inside. So I like the idea of taking one frame and then taking another frame and putting it as turning it on point so it's a diamond. So I've simply glued those two in place. Now, in the die cuts, as I said, there's a space in the middle. It had a light pink heart, light pink heart, and then the word remembering. Well, that light pink to me would just really disappear against the craft. So I went back to the ink pads and I used lipstick, and I just tapped the heart to color it, to make it a brighter pink, which is exactly what I wanted. Then I foam taped the remembering on top of it, and I liked that as a piece of me. Then this little birdhouse was there, so I foam taped that, and then I tucked the thankful right under it. Now, when you have all of those die cuts, there are little nibs, as there always are. Now you can press them down with your fingernail. I like to use the scissors, these little professional precision scissors. Just do a nice job because they're short, they have short blades, and it just is easier to handle when you're working with smaller pieces. So I've snipped all of those off. Now, these leaves are part of the vellum pieces. So I simply kind of played with them. Again, I've got an odd number 3, and I've got them kind of tucked under all 3, in all 3 locations, so going in opposite areas. These are part of the dazzles, and this is the one sheet, and it is called Fancy Borders Lace White. Now, I know you can't see it there, and I'm sorry, but there are multiple pieces. These are the thinnest pieces, and I just wanted to have a pop of white to duplicate the white on my, my remembering and thankful, and put it there. Then going over here, this is the largest frame in the package. You get 2 of them. And so when I glued it down, this is important, only glue down the right and the left side. Don't do the top and bottom. Why? Because we're going to go back into the vellum cutouts, and we're going to take a large one, not this one, but a different one, and peel this off and tuck it underneath the frame at the top and at the bottom. That way you haven't glued those down, so it'll be easier to do. Okay. Then I wanted to take one of the pieces out of the vellum, and I thought this was really pretty. And again, because I'm duplicating the white, I thought, well, let's just put it on a doily. Now, I did not remove the plastic backing. I simply attached this with extra sticky tape onto my doily. And I could have left my doily white, in which case it would look like that. That gives me more white, and I thought that was okay. But I really like the idea of edging my doily, not the whole piece, but just right into that first circle of decorativeness that's there. And so I did that, going back with the velvet fawn that I used on the front of the album, and just going right at the edge. Just super easy, super fast. I did think about using the lipstick, but I thought that that would be too much. You know, you can make a different decision. The doilies are 4 inches wide, and I think you get about 20 into a package, so it's really nice to have, and it's surprising how often they come into just work really well. Now, I only did these 2 pages, and oh, wait a minute, I forgot. Going back to Simple Joys. Simple Joys came from that same sheet, tiny words and phrases, and what I liked is little pieces of me, remembering, thankful, and simple joys. And a heart, so that just worked really nicely. Now, if you make A2 cards, you know, the smaller size, they're like 4 by 5, they will fit inside here, and that would be maybe a nice place to hold your cards. For our larger cards, well, you could certainly slide them in, and they would slide, you know, they would be wider, and your suede would still hold them closed because you've got so much suede, so that could work too. So it could be a nice little filing system as you get your projects made. So, you know, let me know what you decide to do with yours. If you're going to do a junk journal, if you're going to do something like this, put photos, put snippets of things, that would be fun. And this is I think this is like $8 or $7. I mean, it's really not expensive at all, so that's nice. Okay, I've got one more card for you. And as I showed you in the opening, I decided to go a different way with this. I sat and looked at the paper that I wanted to use, and it's this one. And I thought just how elegant that looked, just really, really pretty. And I wanted to do something different. So I elected to do some gold foiling. And I love this because it is just so doggone easy to do. So I've got my 5 by 6.5 inch card, of course, and I'm just going to give you a quick demo. And I'm going to bring out my craft mat. And you don't want to skimp on that. You want to make sure that you really do have your craft mat, because I ended up having some of my foiling go off of my card. And so it's really good to have the backup of that craft mat. Okay, now I'm going to use glue stick. This is the glue stick that we have. And this is a brand new tube. And you're going to end up putting this on the edge. Now, I would, especially if this is the first time you've done foiling, and there's heat foiling where you have to have a machine. This, I guess, is cold foiling. Okay, it's just foiling. I'm just going to go along the edge, no big deal. Then I'm going to take my gold, just a piece. In fact, my gold foil is this package. It is 5 inches by 16 feet. Now, you may think, oh gosh, 16 feet, I'm never going to use that. Trust me, you will, because it's neato. Okay, so I'm going to lay that, and then I'm going to burnish it, meaning I'm just going to rub it. Okay, then I'm going to lift. And what do you see? You see foiling. And you can take and finish it. And what's interesting is that I have my foiling, I really meant for it to be on the edge, so evidently I didn't get that with my glue sticks. So I'm going to go back, and I'm going to go over it again. And this is just one of the things that you can do. And you can use all of your foil. I mean, even if you have areas that didn't take as well, okay, you can go back and put your foil on top of it. Now you do want to rub it, and there you go. You can see it's filling up, which is very nice, and yet you see I've only used that little bit of foil, so it goes a long, long way. Now I do have to confess that when I did it to begin with, I did my glue. Isn't that pretty? Just so pretty. And I like the unevenness of it too. I really like that. I did my whole card. Well, what happened is that by the time I got around to like the third edge, the ink had dried a bit, so it didn't work. So just do one edge at a time, okay? Now, this is also what happened to me, except I had a bigger piece of foil. Because the glue is, you know, resting on the craft mat, you might end up getting some foiling. Let me hold that up so you can see it's actually foiled. Yeah, a little bit there. Just lift it off. You know, get your baby wipe and just sponge it off. That's perfectly fine. Now, this is the piece of foil that I use. And I've got something stuck to the back of it, so give me a second while I remove that. if I can remove it. Oh dear. Okay, that wasn't a good idea. Okay, well, just see. Okay, so you can see that's the foiling that I used to do my card. So, and I still have left. When you have a piece like this and you think, oh gosh, I'm just going to throw that away. Well, you can throw it away, but you can use all of those pieces because you don't see where you overlapped. It doesn't show. So it works out really, really well. Okay, so that is my foiling 101. And after I foiled my edges unevenly on purpose, and I only went in about, I think this is about a 1/4 of an inch in, so I only went about 1/8. I didn't go the whole width because I wanted that white edge to show. Okay, so that's what I wanted. Now, let's go back to my paper. This is the one that I used, and again, I'm going to trim it as I have done the other 2 cards ahead of time. And I have then a piece left. Now, I just glued it down. Can we get in super close? Because I want you to see that die cut, maybe even closer. It says today, thank you, may your dreams become reality. Isn't that sweet? I think that's so nice. Now, that is gold underneath it, but I didn't foil it. I did use our metallic gold sheets. There are, I think, 3 sheets in the package because I wanted a solid gold and I wanted my scruffy gold to be on the edges. So you can do, you might make a different choice. That's perfectly fine. Doesn't hurt my feelings at all. Now, because that bright pink is what I wanted, I went to our acetate butterflies. You know about those. And it was the pastel one that really actually did the trick. And you can see there's side butterflies, there's big butterflies, there's also smaller butterflies. Now, with the acetate butterflies, they are die cut, so you just pop them out. I generally do this. I fold on each side of the body. So I fold the wing like so, press hard, fold the wing like so, press hard, and then I take my extra sticky tape with the red liner and I take about a 3/4 inch length and I put it on the back of the body. Then I attach it to the card. Now for the side viewing butterfly, there's no folding, so I just put that little piece of extra sticky tape beneath the body, and I wanted it to rest on this really sweet piece. And I'm looking at my rule of 3s, and I'm thinking, well, I do have 3 things here. It kind of bothered me that I had nothing here, but everything that I put there just overwhelmed it. So I decided that, okay, in my pinks, I've got 1, 2, 3 right here. So my rule of 3 still stands. Okay, so there's my card front, and I hope you like it. I think it's just elegant looking. So easy to do, super easy. Okay, inside, I decided to do just one edge of the foiling. This is the piece that I had left over. Now this is the largest of the vellum die cuts, so I removed the backing and placed it here. And then I added another of the little butterflies down here. Same way, I didn't fold the wings because it's inside the card and it's going to be pretty flat. But I did leave room for a message, any thoughts that you might want to have when you send this out to someone very special. Okay, that's it. Now, I made a promise that I would show you the other papers that are in this collection that I did not use. So you've seen all the ones that I did use, which was only 3 since I used those pieces for the inside. So and I do, as I have said before, I really let the papers work for me because that's why I bought it. I bought it because of the design. And same thing with the accessories that match, in this case, the creative cuts and the vellum creative cuts. So when you get papers like this that look really interesting, that would work too. So there's another one. Again, these are single-sided. You do have 32 sheets. You get these cutouts. And there are 2 of each one, so you can see. And the brown, And the golden brown, that would be pretty. You could really foil that, couldn't you? And a couple more. So these are all the ones. I thought that was really lovely. Okay, so you've got some, what I think of as focal pages as well as beautiful background pages. So 32 of them. And then you also have the die cuts and the vellum die cuts. And the vellum die cuts, this is the only company I've ever seen have them. So that's really nice to know. And that works out well. So that's what we have. And I've shown you all the pages. You've seen all the techniques. You've seen what didn't work with the foiling. Just you can keep doing it and create as much space with it as you like. And I guess the one other thing I didn't tell you is that when I was going to color that heart inside the album, I kind of wasn't sure which of the ink pads I wanted to use. So I do these swatches, and hot pink, lipstick, pink petal, and blush. And I ended up going with the lipstick, as I said, because it matched the art in the papers. I really liked that color, and I thought that did a nice job. So that was my rationale and my process for doing that. And I do have several of these in multiple colors. It works well for me. Okay, as I said, there are directions down below. Just click on the cards. You'll see that. You can print them out if you'd like, or just to give you maybe a reminder about what was done. If you are watching us on YouTube, I have a favor. We would absolutely love it if you would like us and if you would subscribe. Love it if you would leave a comment. That would be wonderful. Speaking of which, if you are watching this on Paper Wishes, leave a comment too. Just scroll down below, scroll all the way down, and you'll see an area where you can leave a message. You don't have to have bought the products to make a comment. You can just comment on the webisode or the projects or anything. Okay, and if you are on YouTube again, head on over to paperwishes.com. We have a money saver if you'd like to buy all three of these. It's on the right side of our screen. And we have a webisode almost every day, and that's a fun way for us to share ideas of how to use the products with you. And we do that for almost everything that we purchase. So you'll always have ideas at your fingertips, and they'll all be right here at paperwishes.com. I want to thank you for joining me, and most of all for being part of our Paper Wishes family. Bye-bye.